Right. So we're going through market failure. Is there anything else that you wanted to go through, Raider?
No, it's just I was just joining to join.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. Okay, so Sophie, what's your understanding of what market failure is?
Um, is it like the misallocation of like the price mechanism leading to a misallocation of resources?
Yeah. And like what does that mean to you in sense of like what's your understanding of what that means?
Um, is it like to do with public goods and then negative externalities
Yeah,
and
that's all part of it. Um, but if you was to describe to a non-economist to what market failure is, how would you describe it?
um like resources not getting allocated like efficiently?
Hmm.
So it, like maybe it doesn't reflect consumers' interests.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't know.
Any real world example of a real world example of what market failure is? So
Could you say like the government isn't providing enough public goods? So maybe like some places lack, I don't know, like street lights?
do they?
Probably not.
All right, so we'll just break it apart. Um, so like you've said, market failure is the misallocation of resources. Yeah. And the reason why resources are misallocated is because someone in the um someone in the market transaction, right, is not being accounted for. Yeah. So when the firm or when the consumer is making their decision about whether to consume or produce a good, they are doing it selfishly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Uh, okay, that's fine. So the important things that we need to understand are going to be um, so we need to understand what the private costs are, external costs, and social costs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you define private costs?
It's like the cost to like either like the person involved in the transaction.
Yeah. So that can be to the consumer or to the firm. Thanks. Um, yeah, it's going to be to the consumer or to the firm. Correct. And what's the external cost?
Like the cost to society or to the third party.
Yeah. And who could the third party be? Any examples?
Um, so like for example, secondhand smoking, the one who isn't smoking is experiencing like the health costs.
Hmm. Yeah. So the external cost is going to be to the third party, and um, these are the people who are not being accounted for. So if we think about um, if we think about the market transaction, it's essentially only accounting for the people associated with the transaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so what's the social cost?
Um, the wait, it's not the cost to society because that's the external cost, right?
No.
Um,
So the social cost is going to be your private cost plus your external cost. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's going to be the cost. So the cost of society is everyone. Like society is not only me, but also you. Yeah. So if I'm purchasing something, it's going to affect you. You are part of society.
Okay.
Um. So that's that. So essentially, we have market failure when we're only accounting for the private cost. Yeah. That can be an example of a negative um externality. Yeah, a negative sorry, a production side externality. So that's an externality that's associated with the cost,
Yeah.
right? What is the private benefit?
Like the benefit to the consumer or firm.
Yeah. And the social benefit?
Private benefit plus external benefit.
Yeah. So the private benefit will be the benefit to the individual firm, like you said. The external benefit is going to be the benefit to anyone not associated with the market transaction, and the social benefit will be the private benefit plus the external benefit. Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah.
So, market failure, as simple as it is, it's basically when we have what we call an externality. So, this is an external cost or benefit that's not accounted for in the market transaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the simple the ones that we have to know is going to be so actually first before I go that. So the reason why the externality is not accounted for is because of a lack of information. Yeah. Um, what other reasons can you think of why we externalities exist?
Because people act in their own self-interest.
Yeah. Anything else?
Um, would wait, so is asymmetric information also part of lack of information?
That can lead to market failure. Yeah, correct.
That's all I know.
That's fine. So, our market failure is going to exist because sorry, our market failure, our externalities are going to be ignored for a variety of reasons. One can be a lack of information. It could be that you can't compute the information, so we can't understand it. There can be price information, so you can't either afford to get every piece of information possible, yeah, or the information is too complex, yeah.
Yeah.
The other one is asymmetric as well. Right. So in each instant when an externality is ignored, it'll be for some form of information failure, right? So the first diagram we need to understand is a negative production externality. And whenever we think of production, you just think of the supply curves. So to begin with, what we have is MPC, right? The marginal propensity, sorry, not marginal, the marginal private cost, yeah? And then the demand curves is always going to be the benefit. So we have our marginal social benefit. So initially, in our negative production externality, we can think of anything that produces pollution. So think of airlines, right? When when companies, like airline companies, when they produce a good, what they do is they only account for their marginal private cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because the externality, which in this sense is pollution, is ignored, right? And the reason for that is that there isn't a monetary value. So when I say monetary value, there isn't a pound conversion for like CO2. Yeah, we can't say X number of pounds is equal to X CO2 per kilogram. Yeah, does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Because this is the case, right? What because this is the case, what the firms do is they just say, well, we can't calculate pollution, so we're just going to ignore it. We're just going to only supply goods. Well, our cost of production will only account for our private costs, so wages and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at equilibrium, E, right, where we have our price and quantity, right, the marginal social benefit is equal to the marginal private cost. But the issue here is that we're only accounting for the individual or the firm associated with the market transaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we understand that pollution is an externality that's affecting the third party because the pollution is gonna, so we can have air pollution, yeah, it's gonna affect the air quality. We'll have noise pollution, and you could argue even visual pollution, right? These are not accounted for when um calculating the cost for producing an airline, right? So at this point here, we have what we call market failure. Yeah. And that's because our externality is being ignored. Yeah. We've not accounted for the external cost to the third party. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, right, if we did account for that, we gave the firms information, the perfect level, what would happen is they would realize that their cost of production is higher than they anticipated. Yeah. They would realize that their cost of production is higher. So there would be a shift from MPC to MSC, right? And this is because they've got perfect information about the externality. Yeah. So now their cost of production is greater because they're accounting for the external cost or the externality. Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
So now what's going to happen here is because their cost has gone up, how are they going to retaliate when it comes to price?
They're going to pass on the higher costs in the form of higher prices.
Yeah, so the price is going to go up from P to P1, right? And that's because the cost of production has increased. So they want to maintain profitability. Yeah. Equilibrium, what's going to happen to equilibrium?
It contracts
So yeah, we have a new equilibrium at E1. So we go from E to E1, and that's because we have a contraction in demand. And why do we have a contraction in demand?
because price has increased, so
Yeah.
demand would fall.
Yeah. And the quantity in the market, what's happened to that?
It's fallen, so there's less overproduction.
Yeah, so there's less overproduction, and that's because the quantity demanded has gone down. Yeah, because the price has gone up. But also, firms supply less, right? Because the cost of production has risen. Yeah. But also because consumers want less of the good. Yeah.
In an exam, when you say like there's less overproduction, do you have to specify that there's less overproduction of a demerit good, or do you just say there's less overproduction?
So we're not talking about merit or demerit goods. That's on the consumption side.
Okay.
Yeah. So any questions here?
No.
So now that we've established this, what we're going to see here is that in a perfect world, we would now be at E1. So at E1, we can see that our marginal social benefit is equal to our marginal social cost, right? All costs and benefits are accounted for in the market transaction. So we have our social optimum. And our social optimum, um, this is when no one is made better off without making someone worse off. Yeah. Or we have what we call allocative efficiency. We have allocative efficiency because the correct level of resources is being allocated to this good. It's not being overproduced anymore. Yeah.
What's the difference between productive efficiency and allocative efficiency?
So allocative efficiency is when supply is equal to demand, so the market clears. Productive efficiency is when a firm produces at their lowest possible level of production. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So at E1, we have our social optimum, right? So the next diagram that you need to understand is going to be the positive consumption externality. So with this, right, this is what we call a merit good, right? So with a merit good, it has set characteristics, right? So with a merit good, it's basically a good that exhibits social, that has social, a positive social benefit. So there's externalities, yeah? And the characteristics of a merit good right? It's gonna be one is that people don't realize their true benefit. Yeah, and the reason for that is because of a lack of information. So examples here, vaccinations and education. Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, um, they have positive externalities. Yeah, so they benefit other people in a positive way. So therefore, in a free market, they're underconsumed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so this is how the market starts off, right? We've got price and we've got quantity. So with this, we obviously have an externality. So if we think of, say, education, so the externality is that if you're more educated, there'll be like things like greater productivity in the economy. Or you could think of you're less likely to be unemployed, which means that the government spends less money on unemployment benefits. So that money can be used elsewhere. Yeah. If you're more educated, for example, you tend to have better health outcomes. So you less chance of you being ill because you understand how to look after yourself and so on. So when people consume education, they don't think about all these things, right? They don't think about the fact that it can benefit other people that I'm more educated, right? So the good is underconsumed. That's what we said here. In the free market, it's underconsumed. Yeah. And that's because we don't realize the true benefit, but also it has positive externalities. And when we're consuming it, we're only thinking about ourselves, right? So in a perfect world, what we would do is we'd obviously give information to our consumers. And what would happen is, so here at E, right, where we've got the price and the quantity, this is market failure. And this is because um, we the marginal private benefit is equal to the marginal social benefit, right? So we're not accounting for the externality. So in a perfect world, we give information, and what would happen is that demand would shift to the right. You'd be like, oh, I can go to university, and it means that I'm gonna have greater productivity in the future. So, for example, over a lifetime, graduates earn 100K more than non-graduates, right? So now you're incentivized to go to university. That obviously will mean that the demand for the good will rise, so the price will increase, and so will the quantity. So here we've had a shift, right? Um, we've had a shift, and that's because we've got perfect information. Yeah, we fully understand what the benefits of this good are. So we're going to demand more of it. We're going to account for the externality. We're going to internalize the externality. In terms of the price goes up from P to P1, and that's because of the greater quantity demanded of the good. So firms will raise the prices in order to maximize profits. Equilibrium, we move from E to E1, and that's because we've internalized the externality. So
I just have a question.
yeah.
So I was looking at this mark scheme earlier today, and it said so like you know how at equilibrium, there's market failure.
hmm
It said that MSB is greater than MSC, and I don't understand that.
Um, have you got it with you?
Um, Let me check because it was on PMT, but I can't find it right now. But if I find it, I'll show you.
Um, so I presume it might have said that the marginal social benefit is greater than the marginal private benefit.
Okay.
And that's true because that is the case here. That's why at this point, E, there's market failure because the marginal social benefit is greater because marginal private benefit is going to be less than the marginal, sorry, other way around. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
Right.
can't see the whiteboard.
You know,
No.
could you not see it the whole time?
No, I could see. It's just now that I can't see.
What can you see?
It says whiteboard's error occurred. Refresh.
Um, 1 second then.
Oh yeah, it's back now.
Okay. Right. So there's been a extension in supply because the price has gone up. In terms of quantity, so quantity demanded has risen, right? Because of the perfect information. Um, Quantity supplied has risen because there's a greater demand for the good, but also there's a greater price. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions so far?
No.
So the next thing we need to account for is the dead weight loss. So the dead weight loss, you always draw, you start from market failure and you just go up to your new curve. So the dead weight loss would be this triangle here, right? And in our other diagram, the dead weight loss is going to be from here to here. Give me that triangle there. And the dead weight loss is the loss to society that's irrecoverable. Yeah. So if you think about in a negative production externality, the external cost of pollution in the UK, about 28 to 40,000 people die every year due to pollution related diseases, right? That's a loss to society that can't be recovered. We can't just because we change how firms are producing goods means that those people are back to life, as crude as that sounds. But in terms of our positive consumption externality, that's like money that the government's already spent on unemployment benefits that they can't get back. Yeah.
Um, so like you know how there's underconsumption,
Hmm.
and so like it would re like increasing the quantity would reduce the dead weight loss, would it?
No, the dead weight loss is irrecoverable.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
So
okay.
it's a loss to society that you can't get back. So like I said in the first example, it's people who have died who can't
Okay.
like the pollution's already been account like it's already played a part because it wasn't being accounted for before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any questions on that?
No.
Right. Radio, is there anything that you want to go through before I move on to like public goods and stuff?
I know, it's fine.
So the next one, obviously you've mentioned about public goods. So what is a public good?
It's non-rivalrous and non-excludable.
And what does that mean?
Um, so wait, non-excludable is that when my consumption of the good doesn't stop your consumption of the good?
No, that's non-rivalrous.
Uh, um, I don't know about non-excludable.
So it means that the the benefit isn't selective. The benefit's for everyone. Yeah. Even if you, so for example, um national defense is a public good, right? They can't just defend some people in the country and not others. It's for the whole country. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can't exclude anyone. So what's the issue then that comes around with public goods? Why is there a market failure?
The free rider problem.
Which is what?
So like some people are paying, but people who are not paying are still benefiting from the people who are
Yes.
paying.
Yeah, so the free rider problem is when someone enjoys the benefits of the good without contributing to its production or maintenance, right? Um, so this obviously can cause an under provision or an over provision of a good or service. So the next thing that we have is a quasi good, quasi public good. So what is that?
Is it when it is rivalrous?
And
Uh, non-excludable?
yeah, so what it's gonna do, it's gonna have just just one of the characteristics.
So can it
Yeah.
be either one then?
It can be either one, but
Okay.
it doesn't have the other one. So for example, a public beach, right? A public beach is non-excludable because anyone can go. You don't have to pay. It's free. But it becomes rivalrous after a certain amount of time because as the beach becomes overcrowded, your consumption of your consumption on the beach, aka you sitting there and I don't know, sunbathing, limits the ability for someone else to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so now we'll just talk about information failure. Um, so obviously earlier on we talked about information failure. This occurs when people have inaccurate or incomplete data. So they potentially can make wrong decisions or choices. Yeah. And obviously this will lead to market failure. The main types of information failure is going to be asymmetric information. It's going to be imperfect information. Information complexity. And for price information. So from our first studies, we understand, or our early studies of what how to make a rational decision, right? To make a rational decision, you need perfect information. You need to understand all the information possible about all the choices you could make. Yeah. And then you can make a rational decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if we don't have perfect information, then our rationality is bounded, it's restricted, right? So the first thing that can restrict our ability to make a decision is asymmetric information, right? This is when the buyer or seller has when they have different levels of information. So for example, the an example can be like second-hand cars. Yeah. With second-hand cars, the seller has more information than the buyer because they know the car, right? So if you want to buy a second-hand car, seller could be like, right, it's in pristine condition. As you can see, it looks perfectly, but they know that once you drive 5 miles, the wheel's going to fall off. Yeah. So obviously you're going to buy the car and they know more information than you do, so you make a wrong decision. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, Imperfect information is just if you, for example, don't know the consequences um of making a decision or choosing to consume a good or service. And this is typically because people are quite myopic, and that just basically means short-sighted. So people just think about their short-term gain, not their long-term, like not the long-term effects of their actions. So we can think of like smoking, for example. Smoking is a demerit good, right? Because it has negative externalities associated with it. People have a lack of information about the consequences, so they overconsume the good, right? Because they believe in the short run, right, it helps relieve stress. Yeah, I feel better about it. I'm not going to die just now from smoking one cigarette. So they're like, I can keep consuming them, right? But there isn't like a set deadline. Is like, well, once you smoke this many cigarettes, you're now going to be at risk. It can happen at any time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is that the same thing as present bias
Yeah.
in behavioral? Okay.
Information complexity is when some information is too complex. So it's too complex for you to process and make the right decision. So an example, Nutrition tables. Like some people still find it hard how to read a nutrition table and find out how many, I don't know, calories are in something or the the fat amount, protein, carbohydrates, and so on. And then finally, price information, right? You can't quickly or cheaply find sufficient information. So an example could be, let's say you wanted to buy, I don't know, a car, right? There's loads of dealerships where you live. However, you don't have the time to go to every single one in that one day, or it's too expensive for you to travel to every single one and find out how much that car is going to cost you. You might make the wrong decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's going to lead to market failure. So the effects of information failure is that our consumers can overconsume or underconsume, yeah, but also firms can overproduce or underproduce a good, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that is pretty much market failure in a nutshell. Any questions?
No.
Any questions for me, Raider?
No, it's like I have a question, but it's more like about revision and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I'm struggling with like I don't know content and essay. Like even though like you know how I said like to watch the videos and stuff. Like I don't like I was watching it, but then it just feels like too passive. If that makes sense. Like it's like not like I'll write notes on it and stuff, but then I'm not like taking it in as well. Like what I like I usually do like flashcards like for my other subjects, but I don't have any flashcards for these. And it's just like because it's like only 50 days to the exam. So I'm like
Mm.
I'm not sure what to do.
Um, I mean, with flashcards, you can download uh you can download like pre-made flashcards and put them on like apps like Anki. Can
Yeah,
revise
that's
that
what I
way.
do use. But I don't know like because I do like find other people's, but it's just like I don't know if they're good or not. Like I like especially with economics, it's more like a practice thing. Like because like I do like maths and physics, so for them it's
Mm.
like easier. It's just like straight answers, but then for like when I try and do flashcards for like for this it's more like I understand it, but then like putting it into an essay it's like I don't know, like I'm not there yet.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess the revision. So, have you used the revision part of the platform?
The yeah, I think so.
Because that's a bit like flashcards where you get random questions and stuff. Um,
Oh yeah, it's like based on the lessons, right?
it's based on the lessons and what you should know.
Yeah. Um like I do use it, but like because it's multiple choice, I don't find it like as like it's just like oh I can see it within the first like two like just within the question. Like it doesn't it's not as like stimulating since it's multiple choice.
Okay. Um, I guess the only other way is you're gonna have to either make your own flashcards. Because I don't think I got some. I've got some flashcards somewhere. I can send you those. They're in a Word document. You'll have to
Yeah, that's fine.
um sort them out. Right, that's fine. Any other questions from anyone?
No.
So, like, with because I know it's like close to exams, shall I just keep trying to do questions as well as like the revision for content? So
Uh,
it's not like I'm leaving it too late.
yeah. So you need to now. It needs to be more so you do a question, and if you don't get the question or you don't know how to answer it, that's when you go to your flashcards to see, okay, so what is it that I don't get?
Okay.
Um, I think that's probably the best advice I could give. Uh, right. Uh, okay. If we don't have anything else, then I'll stop the recording here.